Today I would like to share with you about how diesel engines work. I would like to give you some information and hopefully enlighten you on how simple diesel engines are. If you've ever taken a cruise or driven or rode in a large bus, maybe city transportation, or if you've ever seen a tractor or maybe the semis that go down the road and take cargo from one place to the other, you've seen the power and the usefulness of diesel engines. Personally, I have experience through owning a vehicle with a diesel engine, and also I work in an automotive repair shop where I see diesel engines on a weekly basis. So I'd like to share with you how simple diesels are, the theory behind their operation, some advantages and disadvantages of diesel engines, and how we got the diesel engine. First of all, the diesel engine invention story really starts with the invention of the gas engine. There was a man by the name of Nicholas Otto who invented and patented the gas engine in 1876. He came up with what is known as the Otto cycle. It's effectively the same cycle that the diesel engine uses, and it consists of an intake cycle, a compression cycle, a combustion cycle, and then finally an exhaust cycle. This is the simple process that all internal combustion engines follow. The man who invented the diesel engine was named Rudolf Diesel. He came along and studied the lack of efficiency that was in gas engines. The problem with a gas engine is that only about 10% of the fuel that is burned in that engine actually went into creating power. So he was looking for a way to use more fuel or less fuel to create the same amount of energy. The only other alternative at the time was a steam engine, which was equally efficient to a gas engine. In 1892, Rudolf Diesel patented the diesel engine. And the main difference between a gas engine and a diesel engine is that the cycles are the same, but instead of using a spark plug to ignite the fuel in the cylinder, a diesel engine uses compression of air, which is why it's sometimes referred to as a compression ignition engine. When the air compresses, it actually ignites the fuel. So in order to give you a good understanding of how a diesel engine works, got a little diagram here of a simple cutaway of a diesel engine. I want to go through the 4 cycles and show you how each of them operate. If you notice here at the top, the first cycle is the intake cycle. Here is the air intake of the diesel engine. This is the intake valve, which opens and closes in order to let air into the engine. On the intake cycle, this valve will open, the piston, air will travel into the combustion chamber, and the piston will travel downwards, at the same time rotating the crankshaft, which is where the energy will eventually come from and be directed to the wheels of the vehicle. So air enters the chamber as the intake valve is open. On modern diesel engines, something to note is that most diesel engines nowadays use a turbocharger as a means of forced induction. In other words, rather than simply taking air from the atmosphere, it's actually being forced into the chamber so that they can achieve greater efficiency. So the intake valve opens, the piston goes downwards, the combustion chamber fills with air. This is the intake stroke. At this point, the crankshaft is 1/2 rotation and it's down in this position now. The second stroke is the compression stroke. At this point, that motion continues. The piston starts to travel back upwards. The valve is closed now, so the combustion chamber is sealed, and the piston travels upwards, compresses the air. As the air is compressed, it heats up because of physics, the laws of physics that say any gas that's compressed will heat as a result of that. At that moment, as the piston reaches the top of its travel, fuel is injected through the fuel injector into the combustion chamber. Because of the compression of the air and the heat, that fuel will begin to burn almost simultaneously with the entering into the chamber. As that happens, we go into what's called the power stroke. At this point, the crankshaft is rotated 1 full turn. The piston is again at the top of its travel. The fuel ignites and the piston travels downwards on the power stroke. This is where the force comes from. As that happens, it rotates around, and as it carries around to the next part, the exhaust cycle comes. the exhaust valve opens up and the exhaust gases travel out of the engine. So that's a simple explanation of how the diesel engine works. Now the final thing I want to share with you are the advantages and disadvantages of a diesel engine. The main advantages is that the fuel is much denser and has more power. According to the United States Department of Energy, diesel engines are 30 to 35% more economical than their gas counterparts because of the increased efficiency of the engine and because of the higher energy density of the fuel. Also, diesel energies produce fewer carbon emissions, greenhouse gases, which lead to global warming. Disadvantages are that diesel engines are known to be louder, sometimes larger and heavier than their gas counterparts. In recent years, there's been advances made in the way that the fuel is injected into the cylinder. Now they can control within milliseconds how much and how quickly the fuel is injected to make the engine run quieter. So I hope you've seen through this that diesel engines are simple to operate. They have many advantages. They produce the most power, the most bang for the buck, if you will, because of their efficient design. And they're simple and easy to operate and maintain.